1 Enoch chapter 6. Some of the hashtags that you can look up on Twitter and on Facebook pertaining to the topic I'm about to share are hashtag Golan Heights, hashtag Mount Hermon, hashtag Gates of Hell, hashtag 1967 borders. Bradley, you know any other good ones pertaining to
lots
the Golan?
of them. Hashtag Al-Wahash.
Hashtag Al-Wahash.
Hashtag Jerusalem.
Hashtag Jerusalem.
King of the North.
Hashtag King of the North. That's a good one.
Little Horn.
Hashtag Little Horn.
Al-Mahdi.
Hashtag Al-Mahdi, or the guided one of Islam.
12th Imam.
12th Imam. Hashtag 12th Imam.
No.
I used to own all those domain names, and they lapsed. But it's pretty cool. Twitter indexes, or Google indexes Twitter comments and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of bounce back with that, as the girls would say.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Clapback? Snapback?
Clapback.
Okay, we've got one here. All right. Right here. Clapback, yeah.
Hey, Scott, why Gates of Hell?
Gates of Hell. Oh, man. Well, when Messiah said the gates of hell shall not prevail, he was standing at the base of Mount Hermon. And in fact, we're going to go into that a little bit. In Matthew, we're going to go into that in a little bit. The gates of hell will not prevail. In every way, he was at the upon this rock I will build my assembly. He's standing at the base of Mount Hermon. That's the rock.
Caesarea Philippi.
Caesarea Philippi, indeed. That's absolutely correct. Hashtag Caesarea Philippi. That's another one. Hashtag Mount Hermon. So in his mind, he is there reversing the curse of the fallen ones, which everyone in the first century that had any understanding about who he was, when he would come, where he'd come from, what message he would come with, understood the testimony of Enoch. It's constantly throughout the Dead Sea Scrolls. And affirmed throughout the Torah, the prophets. In fact, I'm going to go so far as to say, if you do not understand, first of all, you don't understand how to receive proper testimony in mass rejecting something just because the mob you find yourself near in the brick and mortar doesn't widely accept something. That's not how you're to handle testimony, period. You are to listen to what comes out of his mouth and affirm it against what you know. You don't dismiss something in mass. That is not proper testimony. It is wickedness, is what it is. So don't reject something simply because you haven't heard it yesterday. In fact, he that puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom. Moses is not the beginning. Love Moses. Moses loved Enoch. You love Enoch too. Look up the passages. I mean, all the things in 7 angels in the scriptures. Who are they? They're Enoch. 4 archangels. Who are they? Where are they stay? Enoch. 7 mountains. Later, the menorah, which the menorah was patterned after. Enoch.
Angels being burned in the lake of fire.
Angels being burned in the lake of fire. Enoch. 10,000 times 10,000. Enoch.
Son of Man.
Son of Man. Enoch. Is it any wonder why the religions of the world wouldn't want you in this testimony? Please tell me I did hit record. Is the thing counting down?
Yeah, that's good, man.
See, while I was away, some of the women turned up the heat in the room, and so I'm having trouble breathing. That's just what happens. You gotta keep your eye on them. It's been that way since the beginning, from the beginning, and indeed hashtag in the beginning.
Maybe if you tie your beard up a little bit, it'll be cooler.
Okay. What are some other puzzles in Enoch? I mean, that are solved by Enoch.
Solved by Enoch.
The 4 winds, the windows, the gates, and the doors,
Yeah.
mentioned throughout the canon, mentioned in Revelation, mentioned by Messiah. Get in it. And by the way, here you have an advocate with the Father, the faithful and true witnesses, but here on earth you'll have other witnesses. If someone is dissuading you from reading, that means they've got a secret. Surely the Spirit of the Father working in you would be good enough to help you find the truth in war and peace if you needed to. So trust in Him and do not cower to fear by heavy-handed kingdom builders that would wield confiscated authority over you and steer you in a direction one way or another way. What are some other cool things that are It's a foundational.
Multitude. The origin of demons.
Origin of demons. 70 bulls at Sukkot.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why are there 70 bulls at Sukkot? How come? See, here's one Judaism fails on. What about a male Lamb of God? How is Messiah a male Lamb of God? Also a sin offering who died as a result of our sins. So sheep and goats. What's this with the sheep? And Messiah mentioning sheep.
The parable of the animals.
The parable of the animals. Enoch's visions in the animals. They tell you in stunning. It tells you in stunning precision about the rise and fall of kingdoms and the history of Israel and the future of Israel and whatnot. Oh yeah, that's right. Bind him hand and foot right there at Dudael, which is in once again Golan Heights area. So. Let me read this, and got a little bit fired up there. It's hot up in here. Yeah.
So good.
Man, it's terrible. The warmth in here is awful. All right, so here, Genesis 6, Enoch 6. When the sons of men had multiplied in those days, look, instead of running to the evening wolves of Judaism and the cabal that they form, that's what wolves do. They travel in packs and operate in the periphery. And that's why they won't speak to someone that understands the scriptures in the light of day. They'll form a cabal and hide behind their masses. That's how wolves behave. Don't run to them. Just do your own study. When the sons of men had multiplied in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. Guys, amen. Check. Yeah. And the watchers, where are the watchers mentioned in the canon, just for the people in church that are, or in the Hebrew roots circles? The father is not Abraham. Abraham is not our father if he murders. Does that make sense to you? You speak as though you're Abraham's. Abraham wouldn't seek to kill me, which is what I know some of you would like to do to me and Messiah.
The Syrians, when you get engaged Syrians, they'll be very quick to point you that they are Abraham's seed.
Indeed.
They are where all the Abrahamic faiths arose from.
Right. Well, surely if it's faith, it wouldn't lead to so much destruction. Right? When the sons of men had multiplied in those days, beautiful and comely daughters were born to them. And the watchers, the sons of heaven, saw them and desired them. And they said to one another, come, let us choose for ourselves wives from the daughters of men, and let us beget children for ourselves. This is where the giants come from. And Semyaza, their chief of these angels, of which there were 200, said to them, I fear that you will not want to do this deed, and I alone shall be guilty of great sin. So here he is making a church or a synagogue right now, binding together people into his agenda. I know there are believers in the synagogues and the churches. And there are also disbelievers. That's why it's not the synagogue and the church. So Semyaza, their chief, the chief adversary here, said to them, I fear you will not want to do this deed, and I alone shall be guilty of great sin. And they all answered him and said, let us all swear an oath. Now, think about this. Messiah, Mount of the Assembly. Was Messiah not affirmed by what? What was he affirmed by?
An oath.
By an oath. And the mountain of the oath, the mountain of the chief, Mount Hermon, Mount Arnon, up there in between Syria and Israel. That's about 9,200 feet high. Good-sized mountain for that area. Is where they descended. Let us all swear an oath, and let us bind one another with a curse. Whatsoever things you bind on earth will be what? Bound in heaven. And whatsoever things that you loose on earth will be indeed loosed in heaven. So hashtag above and below is a good hashtag to follow if you want to understand the binding and the loosing and the battle in heaven, which will ensue very soon when the adversary, Hasatan, will be cast down and all of his messengers with him, and will agree to give the beast, Al-Wahash, 42 months to continue. He continues at that point and is bolstered by, having previously been bolstered by armies that are not his own on earth. He will be bolstered by the fallen host of the heaven. the heavens, Hashemayim, which even the governors of Jerusalem and Judah, the wayward governors, will worship, having previously worshipped the sun, the moon, and the stars, just like Jeremiah chapter 8 is, all while not knowing the times and saying, lo, the law is with us, but not knowing the times.
Yeah. Hey Scott, I'm
Yeah, bud, go ahead. I'm probably slobbering all over.
I don't know if you remember recently, but there was, you see some of these comments and stuff that the pro-Assad Arabs and stuff make online.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the ones that they made a couple of years ago, this guy makes a YouTube post, and he was boasting that the Western, the Western nations and all that were trying to destroy Syria, but Allah empowered Assad by bringing Russia and Iran, etc.,
right,
to help him. And if he continues like this, the guy went on to say, he will be Mahdi in my eyes.
That's right, the guided one of Islam. And lots of heads are nodding here in affirmation for those of you that are watching on the internet. So when he is empowered overwhelmingly, it's not enough here that he's got Russia, China, Kim Jong-un promising all kinds of support to Syria against the Zionist aggressors. That's the kings of the East, hashtag kings of the East. Supporting hashtag the king of the North, or king of the North rather. It's not enough that he has that support, Russia, Syria, Iran, the Arab nations, which are all coming back to nest right up under that destruction that they all previously spoke against and then participated in. But this guy gets the support of the fallen host of heaven as every foul, unclean spirit of the cosmos is cast down to earth, and earth becomes a cage and a prison for every wicked spirit of the entire cosmos. There are things that are in our mouth that we don't even understand. Scripture does not teach of a universe. It teaches of multiple spoken phrases, multiple reverberations, which line up perfectly with what the Scriptures say in the beginning. But yet it's in our mouth and we just repeat it. I mean, is it one verse? Is that what we see observed? One verse, a universe, a single verse, or do we see multiple differing wavelengths and reverberations, aka words? Reverberations. We do. We see multiple, not just the one. So much of this stuff is just dumped in our lap, and myself included, we just repeat it without even thinking about the ramifications of it. So they swore, these beings, they swore and bound one another with a curse. The curse is Allah. And Allah will be sent as a curse upon the earth by the Father above, as the holy angels are commissioned to war with these foul beings above and cast them down to earth, and men's hearts will fail them for what is coming upon the earth. But those who know their mighty one, the Father above, the Father of lights, in whom there is no darkness, will carry out exploits and do mighty things. And so they were, all of them, 200 who descended in the days of Jared onto the peak of Mount Hermon. This is the flashpoint that is Assad and Netanyahu are fighting about now. And they called the mountain Hermon because they swore and bound one another with a curse on it. All right, next little passage you can follow along with is 1 Enoch chapter 12. Bradley, any comments while I'm sifting?
Well,
it's hard to
talk about Netanyahu and Assad going over at the Golan. Did you see just about a week or two ago? I couldn't believe it, man. I'm looking at the headlines, and these people are parading on the ski resort. They're skiing on Mount Hermon, and then I'm looking at it going, these people are oblivious. The next day, they closed down the resort because there's rocket fire going overhead.
Party. All she wants to do is dance.
Yeah.
That's what that song says. Just having a good time, living it up with no thought about what tomorrow will bring.
It's like that general recently said they won't be sipping lattes in Tel Aviv.
Okay, yeah, right.
War.
Thank you very much. A general in the IDF, he says there's not going to be anybody sipping lattes when. Go ahead.
They won't be sipping lattes in Tel Aviv during the next war.
Tel Aviv is the cities that Tel Aviv and Haifa are the major cities up there, and the Father is going to bring destruction. There's nothing you can do to it. You can wish it away by averting your eyes all you want to. You will see it, and it is going to come to pass. And at the same time, folks, we're not going to be over here watching from our screens without consequences here as East is pitted against West. Look at what's coming from their mouths even. So lots of support. Those kings of the East are going to have their day with us. The Father has appointed days for everything. And the light has waned in the West, sadly. We've got such cognitive dissonance in many of our religious institutions that should otherwise be heralding these things, and people just don't know where they are. The fabric of our society is literally dissolving as I'm even sitting here sharing with you. People don't know where to go to the bathroom. I mean, everybody went to the bathroom outside before. That's where you go. I mean, until somebody built a house. And,
They still go outside in some places.
that's right. Enoch chapter 12.
know about that.
Yeah.
Enoch chapter 12, verse 1. Enoch's interaction with the fallen watchers. Before these things, Enoch was taken, and no human being knew where he had been taken, or where he was, or what had happened to him. Hey guys, unless this has happened to you, zip it. Stop speaking stupid against Enoch. He's faithful, and he walked with the holy ones right here. It says that even in your canon. His works were with the watchers, and with the holy ones were his days. So Enoch says, I, Enoch, was standing, blessing the Lord of majesty, the King of the ages, and look, the watchers of the great Holy One called me, Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Hey, Enoch, can you talk to God for us? We're in deep trouble. Now, that's basically what he commissions them to intercede on their behalf, because they were in the thick of it already, because of that binding together of that oath at Mount Hermon and the 33rd parallel and all that. Enoch, righteous scribe, go and say to the watchers of heaven, who forsook the highest heaven, they forsook the highest heaven, the sanctuary of their eternal station, and defiled themselves with women, as the sons of earth do. So they did and took wives for themselves, and they worked great desolation on the earth. You will have no peace or forgiveness. And concerning their sons in whom they rejoice, the slaughter of their beloved ones they will see. That's the giants. And over the destruction of their sons they will lament and make perpetual petition. And they will have no mercy or peace. And Enoch said, Say to Azazel, you will have no peace. A great sentence has gone for Azazel. It's a picture of the scapegoat much later typified in the testimony of Moses. And it's because of this. That's the picture we're supposed to see here. You will have no relief or petition because of the unrighteous deeds that you revealed, and because of all the godless deeds and the unrighteousness and the sin that you revealed to humans. Then I went and spoke to all of them together, and they were all afraid. And trembling and fear seized them. And they asked that I write a memorandum of petition for them. So like Enoch's their attorney now or something. That they might have forgiveness, and that I recite the memorandum of petition for them in the presence of the Lord of heaven. For they were no longer able to speak or lift up their eyes to heaven. It's not entirely different than someone like myself or others telling you about Syria's Assad, and you averting your eyes and not looking and finding an exit, and your eyes banging around the room and look away. Folks, this is death. You've got to stop it and answer this question. I wrote on the memorandum of their petition and the request concerning themselves with regard to their deeds individually, and concerning their sons, for whom they were making request, that they might have forgiveness and longevity. And I went off and sat by the waters of Dan, in the land of Dan, which is south of Hermon, to the west. I recited to God the memorandum of their petition until I fell asleep.
Assad will spring forth from that area.
That's right.
That's your quote-unquote Danite Antichrist right there.
Indeed. The Danite Antichrist thinking of it from Dan. He comes and launches, leaps forth from Dan, and of course, this is where Bashan, Aga Bashan, that same region up there, and the giants that are mentioned in your canon, so you can feel comfortable for a little while, unless you keep averting your eyes, in which case you're going to probably have very difficult days. You need to go ahead and embrace in your heart the destruction that is coming. Every time for over 2 decades that I have seen someone avert their eyes to the words that came from my mouth regarding Bashar Assad before he ever destroyed any of the palaces, hospitals, any of the high places, any of the things that you've seen in the Syrian war, I have seen that behind your eye every time you averted it. That has an effect on me as an individual. anxiety, if you will. And it's pushed out right now by me being confident in seeing it come to pass. But make no mistake, just as a husband would know when his wife is not being honest, or a wife would know when her husband's not being honest based on him or her averting their eyes, it's the same type of thing. You need to face these facts and begin to look east. The king is coming. So he recited this petition till he fell asleep. And then it says, and look, dreams came upon me, and visions fell upon me, and I saw visions of wrath. And there came a voice saying, speak to the sons of heaven to reprimand them. And when I had awakened, I went to them, and all of them were assembled together, and they were sitting and weeping at Abel Main, hashtag Abel Main, which is between Lebanon and Sinir, which is, of course, anti-Lebanon. It's, again, Golan Heights. And that is why I shared this. So you can understand what's going on above and below, and the reversal of this curse. When Messiah said the gates of hell will not prevail, it was in every way connected to what you're hearing here. And I recited in their presence all the visions that I had seen in the dream, and I began to speak the words of truth in the vision, and a reprimand to the watchers of heaven that had fallen, of course. All right, so Numbers chapter 2, 3, referencing, of course, the rising of the sun in the east as the luminary waxes and grows great. That is where we are to look for the straight way that Messiah comes from. You'll find that there are windows there if you look above the horizon where the stars emerge, and of course the winds out of three of them, and one of them is straight. And if you'll notice in the scriptures, we find in our canon and affirmed more deeply and more extensively in the book of Enoch and the writings of Enoch, Messiah is indeed in every way carried by the wind. And the wind that comes from his mouth, a spoken word, will destroy the son of perdition and that Assyrian mentioned in Isaiah. He will die by a sword, not of a mean man, and a sword not of man will devour him. Hebrews 4:12. The word of our Father above is indeed a sharp sword, capable of dividing asunder spirit and soul, even into the joints and marrow. Now that's getting right down to it there. So it is a sharp sword, and he comes from the straight way in the east as the son of Adam that is adorned by the righteousness of his father, who is, of course, the ancient and head of days. Hashtag head of days. Hashtag ancient of days. Hashtag son of man. So John chapter 10 is where we're going to go to next. I'm going to read this. John chapter 10. Anybody got any commentaries? I'm fumbling through here. Bradley, what you got, man? Anybody? Ray? Anything? Patrick? No?
Oh, you know the term Bashar.
Bashan, yeah.
Bashar, you look at it in the Ugaritic, it's a reference. It's a serpent.
Mm-hmm.
There's your serpent right there.
The way of the serpent.
From Bashar.
That's right, from Bashan.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. If you want to know, that's another thing to look at in the Enoch. Who is the serpent in the beginning and from the beginning? The serpent. The Nakash. Seraphim. Seraph. It's a shining diviner, winged being, winged Nakash serpent, diviner, enchanter, glimmering, of course, from above. The lie that they sold to Mesopotamian circles was that they just all of a sudden emerged from the sweet waters above. Now see, if you're looking for a dark origin, evolutionary, chaotic origin theology of a God that emerged out of darkness, that's it.
Yes.
He just emerged randomly. See how the deception is right there in the beginning. It says in the beginning there was darkness, right? Wait a minute, back up. The Father is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. None. No variance, no shadow of turning, like you're doing when you avert your eyes in order to continue the inordinate amounts of shopping and whatnot. In the Father, he is light, and in him there is no darkness. And you'll note, he separated the domains of day and night in the beginning. He is light, and the path of light people have not known. The way of peace they do not know, it says in Scripture. The way of light, the path of the light. Day is a domain. It is the domain that God, the Father, named the light. In other words, the light is named day and the darkness is night. And that's divisions were made in the beginning. And then on day 2 of his good work from the beginning, yet more phrases spoken. He divided the waters above, sweet waters above, which we find are masculine, and the waters below, which are feminine. And after the fall, there is much bitter waters below. So from man and woman after the fall. From listening to the Nachash, the serpent, in the beginning, that all of humanity will soon listen to, yet again, who will give authority to the beast, Al-Wahash, a man, because he has to, because the Father gave dominion of the earth to who? Man. So even that late in the game, the Nachash, the serpent from above, that will be cast down, has to have a man doing his bidding. Yep. And that is the son of perdition. The Father judges no man, but instead he assigns judgment to whom? To the Son. First the son of perdition, the son of destruction. From the north, a son of the left hand, all positions.
Bilad al-Sham.
What's that?
Bilad al-Sham.
Oh yes, Bilad al-Sham.
Is a term for left hand that refers to Syria.
Left hand referring to Syria, of course, when facing east. Right hand is where the Son of Man, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, comes from the east to lay him waste, though he knoweth it not.
Now the left hand
Neither
knows
can
what
he.
the right hand is doing. George Bush.
George Bush said, now the left hand knows what the right hand is doing. So, run from the evening wolves of Judaism, telling you to face darkness and call it light. That is wickedness. And I've done it. Jerusalem put her words in my mouth, and today I pushed them out.
Scott, you mentioned about the origins of darkness and stuff like that. And there was this one guy who was, I guess, a scholar in comparative mythology and stuff. And he reduced polytheism. He reduced the stark difference between monotheism and polytheism is that polytheism has what they call a meta-divine realm, which is a realm, which is an elemental, rudimentary realm that is prior to and above the gods. Yes. And then the gods arise from it. And he said because of that, not only is there can the gods be circumvented by appealing to the elements, but it blurs the line between the divine realm, the gods, and human, where a human can become divine.
Indeed.
And that is the major difference. And when you look at like movies like Prometheus and stuff, where they start out just like that, where you have gods, higher evolutionary beings that are standing before a world that is tohu vabohu or over darkness.
Yeah. Right.
And then they seed it.
Indeed.
They seed it right there.
Order out of chaos.
It's just repackaged Sumerian mythology.
It is. It's absolutely correct. Yep. It's good stuff, isn't it? Awesome. All right. So, thank you, brother. That's very poignant. John chapter 10. Here's the true shepherd. True. If you've done any carpentry work, when a matter is true or plumb, it is straight. Most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door. Now, Assad al-Bab is the son of the left hand to the north. Bilad al-Sham, that's right. And Messiah, the door, of course, comes from the east and was birthed where? Not the north, but south. Son of the right hand.
Right hand.
Very important. Most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber. It's really coming together, isn't it, folks?
Climbing.
Effort. Ascent. Go ahead.
It's an effort.
It is an effort.
It's an upward. You are by your work
climbing out of the primordial soup.
Yeah.
Right. Climbing up.
Yeah.
But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. Now, the doors are described in not only elsewhere in the canon, but particularly in Enoch also, as to being in the east, and there's these windows that the winds come from, and the center one brings forth destruction and fire. And that's exactly what Messiah brings with him when he returns. He is carried by it, and it comes through his mouth also, and will sift the nations with a sieve of destruction. The son of perdition in 2 Thessalonians, the man of sin, is destroyed by the spoken, destroyed by the spoken word. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. So, folks, did he enter a door already? The shepherd did so, right? Watch this. To him, the doorkeeper or porter, or the word is, it's a watcher. It's described in Enoch. Opens the door for this shepherd, because these four angels are stationed at the four corners of the earth, the cardinal points, the high points of the year and the day.
The four living creatures.
The four living creatures. That's right. They're stationed, and they have jurisdiction and do faithful service, is what it says. And they serve as porters or doormen and as watchers. So to him, the doorkeeper opens. The porter opens, and the sheep hear his voice. So the doorkeeper opens for the shepherd to come in and out. The doorkeeper is not the shepherd, but he's the ones who open. He opens the door. And he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them, and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow an alien, stranger, or foreigner. Now, flash forward to Revelation and other places in the Tanakh and in the battle in heaven. Hashtag battle in heaven takes place. The adversary is cast down, giving the beast al-Wahash 42 months to continue. And then we flash forward to those who are in what? Judea? Flee. Okay? That's where we're at here. When this foreign, unknown, alien God, which Abraham did not worship, give him power to continue destroying for 42 Kodashim, or months.
Tell me about Baal-Samim.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, the foreign god that his father, the whole thing about him not honoring his fathers. The religion of Assad, it is repackaged worship of Baal-Samim.
Canaanite.
It's a Canaanite deity,
Yep.
Baal-Samim. If you look this up in a dictionary or in any kind of good academic journal, they will tell you that the term abomination of desolation was what they call a dysphemism, or a derogatory reference to the North Semitic god Baal-Shamim. It was the Lord of Heaven, and that is what the Alawites worship.
And we're fixing to get a repackaging of it right here in our day.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's
No problem.
So when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them. Did he go already? The good shepherd? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a foreigner or an alien, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of aliens. Messiah used this illustration, but they did not understand the things which he spoke to them. They probably had somewhere to get to. Jesus said to them, most assuredly I say to you, I am Al-Bab, I'm the door, not Al-Mahdi, the guided one of Islam, who says he's the door. All who came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. Folks, the testimony of Enoch and the Dead Sea Scrolls is good pasture. The thief does not come except to steal. What does Assad do? He steals. He steals the heritage of the Syrian people and transplant Iranian militias and Hezbollah and Russians and grafting in his own disgusting, foul, abominable branch that is severed by the root.
Gathers the nations like eggs that are left abandoned.
That's
in the nest,
right.
While no one utters a peep.
He gathers the nations like eggs that have been abandoned. So I have gathered the whole earth, and not one wing fluttered or even let out a peep. Through his craft and cunning and deception, he indeed tramples truth to the ground. The thief does not come except to steal and to kill. Does he do it? Yeah. Does he steal? Yeah. And to destroy. Does he destroy? It's like an apocalyptic movie. And you will only be able to continue to avert your eyes for but a season. Syria is in every way a horror show. And it is part and parcel of a larger volume of destruction, as that when you are swinging an axe and the Father is the one swinging it, you tighten the grip. Squeeze. That Syria is squeezed. There's nothingness there. All around, it's largely a habitation of jackals. And we haven't even gotten to the part where Judah gets involved and really starts laying waste her neighbors round about. And that guess what that's going to do? That's the eye of the storm. If you'll notice in the northeastern hemisphere, the storms, as they swirl, the worst part of the winds and the lashing are to the north and the east. And the eye of the storm, of course, is Jerusalem. But guess what? They go on like that. So that's what we're going to see here as east goes against west. And even as north and south go to war. Over there in the Levant, the eastern Mediterranean. So verse 9. I am the door. If anyone hears or enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief does not come except to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. He's an evening wolf to the north. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep, but a hireling, not the shepherd, one who does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees.